This is a quick welcome to everyone for being here for what is officially the SWAC Fall Training. It's this particular workshop. We're super happy to be able to offer today. It's been a little journey in getting here, but here we are. Yay! We have with us today Dr. Tiffanie Zaugg. She is an adjunct professor at the University of Central Florida, as well as a consultant for UCP of Central Florida Schools. She's worked in the past quite a few years. I'll let you speak to this, Tiffanie, as an assistive technology consultant, coordinator, special education consultant in Iowa. She is also now the lead researcher for Project RAISE, which stands for Robots and Artificial Intelligence to Improve Social Skills for K-5 students. Tiffanie has presented for us many times in the past at the Conference for Assistive Technology and Education. She also presents nationally. And so it's a great honor to have you with us today, Tiffanie. I'll go ahead and let you get started.
Well, thank you so much for having me, and thank you for the long journey it took us to get here. So thank you. Today we're really going to be looking at resources and information around science and social studies. So we're going to be doing this collaboratively because I am a firm believer as that we're all experts in the area. We all have our own resources that we like to share. So with that in mind, we're gonna go on. Again, if you have not had a chance, please use a sign-in sheet. So they have a record of your attendance and they can send that back to the Colorado Department of Education and thank them for hosting us. So our objectives today are we're going to work on classroom activities that creatively combine traditional materials with assistive technology. We are going to create a collaborative environment for sharing resources and ideas. And then we're also going to discover relevant AT tools for science and social studies and how to integrate them into our classrooms to support diverse learners. So really today we're going to dig into finding resources, looking at the resources that I have provided. You're going to share out resources. We're going to have some time to dig into what resources are out there. And then I would like you to walk away with a lesson plan that you can take back and you can either share if you are a special education teacher or you are a general education teacher that you can share back and actually use in a science and social studies class that is differentiated for your learners, for all learners. And we'll dig into that. And then we're going to have a little bit of share out time. So first we're going to focus on science and then we're going to focus on social studies. So again, our agenda is we're going to talk about barriers first because as all of us know, science and social studies really are not an area of a disability. Our areas for disabilities are going to focus on dyslexia, dysgraphia, dyscalculia. Is it a physical limitation? Is it a visual limitation? Hearing, all of those different types of areas are really our areas of disabilities. And so how can we look at those areas and determine what barriers we have in science and social studies? So we're really going to look at that piece of it. We're going to talk about how you can use some free tools to modify text complexity. We're going to take some breaks throughout. We're going to dig in and look for some resources and put them into a collaborative document. And then we're going to create a lesson plan. Actually two, one for science and one for social studies. So would somebody be able to share the link for the presentation or do you guys still have that?
Yeah, I'll send it.
Okay, perfect. So the first thing we're going to dive into is this science whiteboard. Can everyone see my screen? Anybody can give me a thumbs up or
I can see it.
okay, perfect. So what you're seeing on my screen, if you go into the document, you all have access to this document. We're going to, and I'll actually share it again now. So if you go into there, or you can go into it this way. And we're going to talk about the barriers. What barriers are you seeing for your students in the areas of science? So we're going to first start with science. I'm going to make this a little bigger just so you can see how this works. If you are familiar with Google Jamboard, it's kind of very similar to that. Just know that I've given all of you access. So with that being said, if you delete one of the Post-it notes, you're going to delete everything. Or if you delete, you have access to all of it. So we're going to go over here on the left-hand side is a sticky note. You just click on the sticky note. You can choose what color sticky note you want. Put it in the board. Like if you see a barrier for reading in science for reading, you can click on, put it in there, a reading, and you can type in it what you want. So with that being said, I put a few barriers in that I've thought about as we look. Unable to read grade level content is an area for reading. For math, it could be struggles with computation when we're doing science, if they're having to do different science materials. What type of writing? I didn't throw writing one in, but there's obviously definitely concerns with barriers for writing. Some different concerns with access for vision, physical limitations, concerns, and others. So I would like you to give you like 5 minutes, if you can, go in and put barriers that you see for your students in science. So if you go in and you go to, it should be on your left-hand side of your screen. There should be a little toolbar, and the third one down should be a sticky note. So you can throw in your sticky notes. Everyone able to access that? I see people's cursors on here. Can anyone give me a thumbs up or something that shows that you are able to write in this document? Okay, I see someone actually clicked on. There we go. Woo, thank you. So if you would, for the next few minutes, put, yes, the vocabulary is definitely difficult for our AAC users and our students that are bilingual, very much so. Just gonna remember, if you're highlighting the whole document, if you need to enlarge it on your screen, at the bottom right-hand corner, you should be able to see a zoom in and zoom out. But if you click and you start to see that you've highlighted the whole document like that, you're changing it for everyone. Can anyone think of any writing concerns there would be for or barriers for our students in science? I know I'm brave to have you in here, but I want this to be a all collaborative. Um, and I'm really missing Jamboard, just saying. The spelling is definitely a lot more complex with in science. Okay. So we do have quite a few barriers, right? Because actually these are the type of barriers that we struggle with, right? When it comes to our students in the areas of science. And we'll probably see a lot of the same ones when we talk about social studies. So as we move forward today, I would like to talk about how we can help remove some of these barriers for our students so they are able to access the science curriculum. So thank you for putting barriers in for us. So one of the first barriers that I really think about, and this comes from science and social studies both, is that we're really going to look at um, identifying text complexity and what tools can we use to be able to change the text complexity for our students and that so that they're able to be able to read independently the science and social studies curriculum. So the first tool we're going to talk about is the text compactor. And so I'm going to take us out there. So the text compactor is a summarizer tool. And then the Rewordify website is a change of text complexity. You can change text complexity. Both of these websites are free. And if you can copy and paste, you are able to take grade level material and put them at a student's level. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hop out of this again, and I am going to go to start with, I picked a here's a science paper that I picked that's a 5th grade level. I'm going to copy it. So if you think about copying your text, I'm just going to copy it, and then I'm going to go back to Rewordify. And you're going to see it says enter your English text in this yellow text box. I'm just going to paste it in. And then I'm going to hit Rewordify. So now it has taken the text that I just took on a 5th grade science text, and you can see it has highlighted words of changing the complexity. So I think about this being your tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3 vocabulary, and we know that science has a tendency to really use tier 3 vocabulary, which was a concern with AAC users. And everything in yellow is what it has changed. So it said the use less energy was the word conserve. Protect something from natural, use less fuel, water, except another word for conserve, words for conserve. Conserve heat is to save heat. And if hair follicles are the hair roots. So you can see that protective is acting to prevent harm. Outer skin was, if you hold all of it over it, is the word epidermis. Now I want to say that not only does this Rewordify change the text complexity for you, you can also, there's some ways you can use it to create lessons to actually build that vocabulary with your students. But for the sake of changing text complexity at this point, I'm going to now take this document that we just changed the complexity of, and I'm going to hit Control C. I'm going to copy it, and I'm going to take it over and I'm going to put it in the free text compactor. And I'm going to change what I have in there, and I'm going to type in what we just changed. Now notice I can change this to some of the words here, serving or acting to prevent harm. So let's just say, we just wanted to say acting to prevent harm. So notice underneath of where I pasted, I have this slider, and I can choose how much of the text I want to be compacted. I can start maybe at 50%. So if I scroll down a little bit, it has changed all my text and summarized it to 50% of what was all there. So if you have a student that maybe takes a long time to read, you could also just copy the original text and change the amount of text read. But if you have a student that is really struggling with vocabulary, you can change the complexity of the text and summarize it. Or if you think about your students that have significant or intellectual disabilities, and you still want them to be able to participate and read the same text or have the same text read to them, I can scroll this down to like 10%, and it's going to give me 4 sentences. I can scroll it down to 3%. So I can really get it moved down by how much text I want that would still have the same message that the original text had. So I could then actually copy and paste this into, if I was using Monarch Reader or Clusive Reader, and actually create books about this. So if, for example, if I have a student that is a student with intellectual disabilities, I could add my text into Monarch, which used to be Monarch Reader used to be Tar Heel Reader. So I can create a book with that text, right? And you can give it a title, hair growth, and then you could it could be growing hair. That's probably a little less. Give it a description, what what language do you want it in? So again, it could be helpful for your ELL students. You can select a topic. It would be probably science. And save as keywords, hair, science, rowing. Paste in my text. I'm trying to do that. So I can find some pictures. So they kind of talked about straight hair. I can add that to my book. I can add, let's see what they have for science. But you can see how you could easily create a book for a student that has intellectual disability off of text that is at a 5th grade level. And then you could have Monarch Reader read it for your students. I could do the same thing with Clusive. How many of you have seen the Clusive website? Either shout it out or put it in the chat box. Okay, so there's some I haven'ts. Perfect. So let's look at Clusive. So I'm going to actually go to, I showed you that you can change text complexity using Rewordify and Text Compactor. Now I'm going to take you to Clusive, which is actually by CAST, and you have access to all of these. You will create your own account, and you can create a teacher account and you can create a student account. A student can use Clusive without even having the teacher use it. So if I sign in with my Google account, Clusive is run by CAST. You can
find information about how to use steps
It's reading lots of different stuff. Just a minute. Sorry, I don't know what the deal is here. I'll try this again. It usually doesn't do that. But you can even try it. Okay.
How can you can find information about how to use steps now that you're information?
Okay. I'm not sure
How
why.
can find information about how to use steps now?
Well,
Would you like to implement teacher dashboard?
it's not, I don't even know what it's reading at this point. So let's try to just show what it looks like. You can upload your own text. It has books included in there. So you can upload a new reading. It shows how to upload. You can upload a EPUB, a Microsoft Word. And then if you're using Google Docs, you can save it as a Microsoft Word, and you can even add Bookshare also into the account. And I see that they have it will also do Tar Heel Reader books, which are again Monarch. So if I go to the library, so if I go to, these are the so I'm just in the example phrase.
By title or in smaller groupings like fast reading, readings you've started.
I think I need to contact CAST that they've got something funky going on with their.
Click on one or more topic or other filter, even get readings that are included in the description on reading tile. In your reading, you can see readings assigned to you, your recent readings, and popular readings to check out. Go to the library to find more readings. Use filters to find readings, search for topics, reading level, and search for readings like class readings, all of the titles, click on one or more topic readings, or other filter readings to readings that match any of your selections.
It's not even letting me stop.
Publisher.
So what I want you to see over here.
Words that are included in the descriptions on reading tiles.
So with
looking for topic or subject areas, use the library filters instead.
is very customizable for your student. You can change the text size, you can change line spacing, letter spacing. It has the different fonts. You can change the background color. You can have animations off or on. You can have word lookup lists. You can choose how you want it to scroll, if you want it to turn pages or if you want it to scroll up and down. Reading tools, you can choose the voices that you want, how fast you want, and it has translation languages. So again, there's a lot of different languages in here you can have it translated to. And it is completely free. I'm not quite sure why it is being a little wonky today, but it also does word bank, so it's really great for vocabulary. It will.
Word bank collects words you've looked up or rated. Select the word bank link and check out how you've rated your word knowledge. Change your ratings as your word knowledge grows. You can get back to your previous page by clicking the back button.
So if you have students, you can, once you upload
words you've looked up or rated, select the word bank link and check out how you've rated your word knowledge. Change your ratings as your word knowledge grows. You can get back to your previous page by clicking the back button.
So this, once you upload a document or text here, it will actually pull out some of those higher level words, and it will ask the student, it'll ask them these questions. They'll rate them. They've never heard of it. They've heard of it. They know what it is. They use it. And actually, as a teacher, you can go in and then see also the vocabulary that the student is choosing and how they're moving along with their vocabulary.
Word bank collects. In your reading, you can see readings assigned to you, your recent readings, and popular readings to check out. Go to the library to find more readings. Have a document you want to upload? Click Upload a New Reading to get started.
So this is Clusive, and it is free, and it, like I said, students can use it without the teacher, or the teacher can use it with students and actually assign readings and upload materials, things like that. It's free by CAST, and it's very customizable. I'm just not sure why today it's being a little wonky. But if you think about our students, so let me go back to my presentation here. I'm going to share a few other options here for you. I'm sure all of you have heard that you can do a lot of the changing of your text complexity with and summarizing text using AI. So you could use ChatGPT, any of those, and ask it to summarize or change the text complexity of your text. So another free option. I'm just not going to go through all of that today. You can, Magic School AI also allows you to do this. And then so does Diffit. The thing that I want you to be aware of is that these are paid versus the free ones that I just showed you. So again, you can use summarize or change the text complexity of any of your text with these tools also. So thinking about the tiered levels of support, you could really scaffold your students in your classroom's reading, right? So if I went and I had my social studies text, I could think about all of my students in my classroom, where they're at with their reading, and I could scaffold those supports for that student. So from a student that is just in core, that might need a summary because it takes them longer to read. You could use ChatGPT, you could use Magic School AI, you could use Clusive just to to give them a text reader or to summarize the text for them. Then if you think about maybe you have students that are struggling with the vocabulary, right? So be it English vocabulary because they're not a native English language learner, or they're more in the area of study students that are struggling with some comprehension. You could then use the ChatGPT. You could use Rewordify. You could use again, like I was trying to show you, you could use Clusive to read it for them if they need a text reader, and then Magic School AI. So you could summarize the core and change the text complexity. And then if you're really thinking about your students that are students that have intellectual disabilities and they really need major scaffolding, they still can access the Gen Ed core materials. It's just change text complexity, summarize it, throw it into Monarch and let it read it to them and have pictures that go along with it. So you could have all levels of your students in your classroom reading the same text with just some free text tools. But I want to remind you that we always want to continue to scaffold back to core. So as the students continue to grow, we want to make sure we're scaffolding back some of those scaffolds so that they're back getting full exposure to the vocabulary and the reading content altogether. Does anyone have any questions about using those free tools, or do you want to play for a few minutes with those free tools? Okay, play. So what I'm going to do is I was going to say I'm a player, but that sounds really bad. I like to play with the tools too. So what I'll do is I'll give you 10 minutes. And in that 10 minutes, you can play with the tools, take a little break, and then we'll come back at 3:40. We'll make it 11. Come back at 3:45 and we'll continue with the presentations. So I'll see you back at 3:45 after you've taken a little break and played with the tools.
So I'm thinking that's 1:45 for us.
Oh, yes, sorry. Yes, sorry. And if you have any questions, feel free to holler or shout out. I'm here to answer them also. Okay, welcome back. I'm going to stop sharing for a minute and I would like people's responses to the tools that they played with. Feel free to unmute yourself and share what tools you played with on our break. Universal design for learning supports. Magic School was user-friendly. What other tools did you check out while you were waiting? Or are there new tools besides Clusive that some of you have not seen or used before?
Well, that's too bad, Michelle. While we were playing around in that short period of time, I was able to go in and set up a class, set up a student, populate some reading, and play around with the speech tools and the display, and it was nice. Quick and intuitive, and yeah.
They did a very nice job with creating that tool. Agreed. That's why I was frustrated with the fact that it was reading and talking and all sorts of different things and couldn't get it to stop reading multiple things. But did you have that problem, Christina?
No, I didn't. It's very bizarre.
Is interesting. So yes, Inclusive is a great free tool. And having been a teacher in a rural school in Iowa, as many free tools that I can use is really what I like to use. So, okay, let's get back to anyone else like to share what are some of the tools they played with? Or if they played with a tool while we were on break? Okay, we did our break. So let's go back into our science whiteboard. And now we're going to talk about the resources. So we've looked at our barriers, and we know that reading is one of the big barriers, right, for our students for reading and vocabulary. And we've talked about tools that were free for that. I have also added some other resources here. So I put in, there's, how to do PowerPoint books using Rewordify, Clusive. Lesson Picks is a great option. When I was in Iowa, we took all of our science curriculum and we created topic boards for our K-5 students with the science curriculum. And those are all embedded within Lesson Picks. We did them all through Lesson Picks and are uploaded into Lesson Picks. There's vocabularysupport.com, Escalar, I have Monarch, Bookshare, Learning Ally. So what I would like you to do now is I really want us to dig into, if you have some great tools that you're like, she doesn't have these on the list, and I know about these for science. I'm going to encourage you to put those into our document. With that being said, we know that math can be a concern. So I put in Equatio, Math Share, Quick Write, GeoGebra. I also put in my Google Doc. I have a Google Doc that I guess I can click and open it up for you and show. It's just a spreadsheet, and it talks about, at the bottom, it shows if it's an iPad app, is it a Chrome? I can click on the Chrome tab. If they're low tech, if it's an online website, and then it tells what areas of support it can provide. So I put that in there also. And there's Corgi is another CAST website graphic organizer. So for writing, Grammarly, and then there's just some other ones in here for students that are struggling with vision concerns or physical limitations, mobility, there's this really nice lab checklist that Washington put together for students with to access labs. So I thought that was a great resource. Dr. Natalie Shaheen works at the Illinois State University, and she is actually working on currently putting together she was grant funded to put together accessible STEM materials. So you might want, that's somebody you maybe want to watch for and see what resources come out of that grant. And then there's tech for the visually impaired, for social studies. Some of the other things that I put in here are inclusive 365. If you guys have not, somebody has highlighted the whole document, careful there. Inclusive 365 is, they have a book, but they also have a website that is supportive of that. And if you click on it, Mike Morato, Mike, Chris Bouguet, Beth Poss, Karen Janikowski are the authors. But what's really nice, they have a website that goes with it, but you can click on it. And if I go to up to the top where it says 365 the book, I can choose the content area. So obviously I linked it to STEAM because we're talking about science. But you can click on, they have a whole bunch of different strategies. It tells you what tools you'll need, what resources, and it can tell you how you can use that. So here's Skype, you can Skype a scientist.com and then bit.ly inclusive 365, 206A and B. So that's a really nice resource. There's, I've also put in, how many of you are familiar with the FET at colorado.edu? How many of my Colorado friends here are familiar with that for science? I am not familiar with it. Okay. So we have some I am not. So if you go to this is interactive simulations for science for students. So they have over 1.5 billion simulations in the area of physics, math, statistics, chemistry, earth, space, and biology. And it's through Colorado. They have 128 language translations. And then they have 170 interactive simulations. So it's a really great tool to help support our students to understand concepts in science. And yay, it is from Colorado University. So I also have, there's a YouTube channel that's all about science. There's a couple different ones. There's Labster, which also helps with labs. So I put in some different resources that I have accumulated over time. And I would like you can we're going to take time now to add yours and play with those and have time to play with the ones that I've created or that I've shared. I also want, before we get busy into digging for resources, I also am going to share, I have been on this kick of creating AI chatbots. So I have created this science chatbot. It is specifically has the Colorado standards in it because I created it with thinking of you in mind. I have a science one and I have a social studies one. I also have an L one that I'll talk about at the very end that I can share with you. but you can use it to create or just lesson plans for your students. So if I can click on it, it's going to take me to this chat bot. And this is what it looks like. It says, ask me to help with K-12 science. I can say, please write a lesson plan for what grade level do we want? Somebody shout out what grade level of a lesson plan for science.
3.
Was that a 3?
3.
3rd grade. Okay. So here it has created a detailed lesson plan for 3rd grade science, as it is going. I'll go back up and show you. If I scroll up, it is going to give me the grade level, the topic, the Colorado standard, lesson plan objectives, the materials that you're going to need. And then I want you to notice that we also have UDL strategies embedded. It's going to tell you how to engage them, what's some discussion you could have, making sure you do your objective, what you need to teach for direct instruction, some accommodations and modifications you can provide for that, activity for guided practice, gives you again this time some assistive technology options that you could use in the guided practice, more UDL strategies, independent practice. What are some accommodations you could be using for independent practice? Your closure, again, some UDL strategies to help with the closure of the lesson. Formative assessment, a summative assessment, some accommodations for your assessments, some extensions and enrichment if you need that for some of your students, and then some mental health strategies that can go along with it for some of your students that might have some mental health concerns. So with that being said, everything that is embedded within this chatbot are the resources that we find or the resources we have I will then put into this chatbot also. So it will make it continually robust, right? So again, it is a science chatbot. You can describe your student and ask for accommodations. You can ask for it to write a lesson plan. You could ask it to write a lesson plan, but be sure to do accommodations for a student that has visual impairments, and it will create those. Also has the UDL strategies. You can do grade level or subject content. So with that being said, we have our resources that I provided you in our document. We have our chatbot. So now I would like you to go out and I would like you to dig. It's time to dig and put your resources that you might have in our resource document so that when it gets time we get to our next portion, you're going to create a lesson plan. So for the next 15 minutes, I would like you to go back to our science whiteboard, and put in, remember if you're going to put something in, you're going to go to your toolbar on the left and do the little square, that's the Post-it note. Pick your color and then put your tool or your resource into the document. or you can spend the next few minutes digging and checking out the documents. I do want to say that some of these tools that are in here, Escalar, vocabularysupport.com, those are new. They are actually in the grant phase and they're working on those, but they have been shared out, but they're also being funded through grants. So feel free. I'm going to set my timer. I know that that's a lot to do, but I'm going to give you 20 minutes to add your resources, to dig into the resources provided, so that when we go out and we create a lesson plan, you will be able to have the materials that you want or need. And what I should probably do is I should probably put the link to the chat bot also in our other information. That would probably be helpful too, so you have it there. Any questions about what our task is right now? Okay. Hi, everyone. Anyone want to share out on some of the tools that they looked at or ones they might use when they working on creating a science lesson plan? Everyone still playing? The science chatbot was very helpful. Are there things you would like to see in that chatbot that you currently don't see? Did I lose everyone?
I spent a little bit of time looking at the vocabsupport.com. There are some really nice, well done PowerPoints in there.
Thank you for sharing. Others? I'm going to jump us back to the resources document. Were there, zoom in a little bit. Were there areas or barriers that we had listed that we did not find a resource for? So let's go through and kind of look. So grade level content, I think we did the text complexity, we have the reading tools, vocabulary for our students could be through the vocabularysupport.com or other tools that we have listed. struggles with computation and different functions. Equatio, math share. I think we have those covered. I suppose Corgi could fit under writing or reading supports because it does have the graphic organizers. Spelling, Grammarly, speech recognition tools for scientific terminology. That one's a little tricky. Lab reports require writing quickly in the moment. So there's a couple other tools, AI tools that I will probably be adding to this document as I continue to think and move through this. Access for vision concerns. We have the vision website for people with visual impairments, physical limitations, and mobility concerns. That accessibility checklist kind of helps with that. Science Buddies, science blog. Oh, that's a great, I'm going to move that one down to our resources area, being able to comprehend and use graphs and charts. So we do have some of those in our Inclusive 365. So I think that we have or should have some tools for all of our barriers for science. Agree or disagree? Agree. All right. Perfect. Thank you. Thank you. I just want to make sure and that you guys will always have access to this so we can make sure that it's a working document. So as long as you have the link, you can continue to add the information or resources as we go. So let's go back to, I usually do this at the very beginning, but I didn't this time. Share in the chat bot what your role is. Are you someone who writes lesson plans or someone who supports lesson plans? Are you OT, PT, special ed teacher, administrator? What is your role? Occupational therapist, OT. Okay. SLP, AT specialist with SLP, AT, SLP, AT. Okay. SLP and SWAC coordinator, AT specialist. Okay. So are the tools that we are, many resources of the sharing. Are there things that we didn't cover for science that you would have liked to cover? I will actually export the document so you can have it in a different format. I was just trying to find a tool that was accessible to so many people and gave you editing rights since they took away Jamboard. All right, so do you want to create a lesson plan? I want to actually make this geared towards you. Do you want, some of you I know played with the lesson plan creator or the AT chat, this chat bot. Okay, so I have a yes. So what we're going to do is I was going to give you a lot of time to like 20 minutes to create your lesson plan. Do you think you need 20 minutes to create a lesson plan? Probably not. Probably a really quick little tool that could do it in seconds, right? All right, so what I'm going to do is I'll give you 5 minutes. I want you to create a lesson plan, and then we're going to share it out, and then we're going to then we're going to move into social studies. We're going to move right along here, but I want to make sure that you guys are getting what you need. Okay, 5 minutes, and then we're going to each share out our lesson plan. Deal? Okay, 5 minutes. Yes, continue to check out the supports, but be prepared to share one. Okay. I am going to start by sharing my screen, and I went and asked the science chatbot to write a lesson plan for 8th grade science and make sure to include supports for an AAC user. So let's see what happens when I do that. So I have the topic, I have the alignment with Colorado standards, I have the lesson plan objectives, UDL strategies, the materials I need. Communication boards or AAC devices for students who use them, high contrast vocabulary boards for sound, wave, vibration, energy. And look, access to a sound wave simulation tool. For example, the FET interactive simulations, that was in a resources list, right? So then it has an introduction. And then now look at down here, it says, introduce key vocabulary. Provide visuals and AAC compatible vocabulary boards for students who use AAC communication devices. And then as you go down, it says, pre-program key vocabulary and phrases into their devices if that is appropriate. Provide opportunities for students to use their devices to answer questions or contribute to discussions. So even though you may not be a teacher teaching science or whomever, you could use this tool, right, to go in and ask it to provide examples that you could provide teachers and say, hey, here are some accommodations or some things you could do in your assignment, in your lesson for students that are AAC users. And again, if I scroll down, it also gives me ideas for accommodations and modifications for AAC device for students with visual impairments, hearing impairments, cognitive disabilities, some assistive technology options, and then again, students that might have some mental health concerns. So that's what I'm going to share. Now I'm going to stop sharing, and I want you guys to share out. If I can get my stop share button to work. So can I have you unmute and if you can and share out?
I can do mine. I looked at the Labster and I looked through the product demos. It was almost like a virtual reality. In some of them, it looks like, it looks like your hand is going and completing the science experiments. And then the anatomy and physiology showed like the different parts of the body in like a 3D exploration phase. So it was really interesting to see, and I think it'd really be helpful for a lot of our students, especially that don't understand the vocabulary at that level.
Thank you. Who else would like to share?
Well, I went to the magic school and just put in something about matter. And it was awesome because it gave me not that I'll use all this because I'm an SLP, but it gave me an assessment and key points, introduction of new materials. It gave me extension activities. Um, it was just, but most of all, what I really liked about it was for me, it gave me resources down here I could go to because it says, can you recommend interactive activities to complement these videos? And these were videos, they gave me videos that I could go to and show. And for an SLP who's working with all different levels of kids, that I can accommodate what they need at their level. And it's some really nice resources, just getting them from there and not having to search everywhere.
And I'll be honest, the other day I had someone ask me, can you provide me your resources for AI? And I'm like, well, I can provide you my chatbot I created because all of my AI resources are within that chatbot. And that is one way that I've actually started organizing all of my materials is using creating different chatbots. So then I just ask them for the information. It gives me the information and it will cite the sources on the bottom as to where it came from. So ironically, that is how I am handling all of my resources. Who else would like to share out?
I can share. I am. Here I am. So I work in the high school, and I used your chatbot to lesson plan at a lower level than my high schoolers. So they're working on a protein synthesis project right now, and so I did like a sixth grade level protein synthesis lesson, so I would understand it too. And then I also found like some using some of the other tools that you had. I found like a song. There's like a playlist of science songs, and so I found like a DNA song that would go with it. That I think it was good. It was sort of repetitive, which I think sometimes kids need to hear things multiple times in multiple ways. So having that repetition in the song, I even started to understand it a little better.
Thank you so much for sharing. Next.
So I kind of continued to look at the vocab support website that you have there and found a fourth grade topic, um, animal species, and plugged that into your chat bot and produced a lesson plan, and then could kind of see how the resources from vocabulary support fit so nicely into the lesson plan.
Good. Thank you. I don't want to have to call on people.
Can I ask what that singing app was that somebody mentioned?
So it is if you look in our document, it's the YouTube videos.
Okay.
There's two different links. I'm not sure which one she used.
Okay. Thank you.
Lisa, do you know which one of the links you used?
Oh, let's see.
Can I have one more person share out before we move on to social studies?
I'm happy to share out. I'm an occupational therapist and I consult with my teachers weekly. So I use the science chatbot to look up a kindergarten curriculum level theme for anthropology. Oftentimes, I'm looking for activities that incorporate hand use and tools. Um, in looking at that, I think it would be a really great tool that we could incorporate as part of my planning with my teacher, just to make sure we talk through accessibilities with tools and activities that are a little bit more hands-on and multisensory.
Thank you. So just a little information about the chatbots. One of the things that I have, as I've been continuing working in the world of artificial intelligence, that was my dissertation, was artificial intelligence and lesson planning. And I created a education and learning and inclusive environment chatbot. And then I've been creating these other ones, was to find and make sure that the materials that we're using are high leverage practices. They're research and evidence based, because we know that if I went out to ChatGPT and asked ChatGPT some questions, they could hallucinate, hence make up information. And so with all of my chat bots that I've created, they're only learning from the materials that I put into them. So the resources that are in there it's only pulling from those, which means it's a closed bot. And my reason for that is I have met with one of the makers of an AI chatbot that I have shared, and they don't know where the information is coming from or where that information is pulling from, because it's pulling from everywhere in the internet. And I had one incident where I actually used ChatGPT and asked it for some behavior supports. And if I would have implemented them, I probably would have found myself in jail or having at least lost my teaching license, because it pulls from everywhere and it can hallucinate things. So when we're using chatbots that are closed and we know where that information is coming from, that is a better resource for us as educators. So I just want you to think about that. And as you continue to use artificial intelligence in the future, and checking for that research and evidence-based materials to be there, or a link that tells you where things are coming from. Okay, so I am going to go back to sharing my screen. And we shared out our lessons. How are you guys feeling? Do you feel like you need a break, another break, or you feel like we've been kind of doing breaks while we've been digging into our tools? If you want to say in the chat box if you need a break, or okay, let's keep going. All right, perfect. That's kind of what I was thinking. So let's move on to social studies. We're going to have the same format as we did before. We're going to go, now it's not letting me click on my link. We're going to go into the whiteboard, maybe. Well, we're going to go into the whiteboard, and just like we did in science, we're going to write we have our barriers. So we're going to start with that. So if you would want to, please, if you can think of other barriers in the barrier section, I will hit share. You have the link in your presentation, but I will also put it in the chat box so you can have direct access to the link. Okay, so thinking about social studies. What are our barriers? For our students to access the social studies curriculum. Unable to read grade level content. If somebody wants to throw in, we probably have vocabulary issues there also. I would assume if somebody wants to put a post-it note for that in. I'm going to reach just a little bit here, and in under math, I'm going to put timelines, right? That over to math. What other areas? Make sure when you're using the little sticky note. Well, set my timer and give us 5 minutes to add our barriers in. Sharon, if you don't mind, I'm going to move that up to barriers. Good. That's a good one. Ooh, that's a good one. Complicated graphics or images. Anyone else have some ideas of barriers for our students? Oh, background knowledge, huge, right? Anyone else think of any other barriers? Okay, I am going to go back to the presentation, and then I'm going to show you, obviously I have a social studies chat bot. I'll add that one to our document also, but let's click on the social studies chat bot here. And somebody shout out something they would like to know about social studies.
Pearl Harbor.
What was that?
Pearl Harbor.
Any grade level that you want to address with Pearl Harbor?
5th grade.
5th grade, is that what you said?
Yes.
So they gave us a simplified explanation of Pearl Harbor for suitable for 5th grade. So on the morning of December 7th, 1941, a surprise attack happened at a place called Pearl Harbor, which is a U.S. naval base in Hawaii. It was carried out by Japan, a country in Asia during a time when the world was already involved in a big conflict called World War II. And it goes to talk about how many battleships were sank, airplanes, how many Americans lost their lives, how many were injured. And then the next day, the United States, without warning, Franklin D. Roosevelt gave a famous speech calling December 7th a date that will live in infamy, and they joined World War II by declaring war on Japan. So if you think about what that information that they just gave, think about changing our how we could even take this information and put it into our rewordify, our text compactor, and modify it even more for some of our students with intellectual disabilities, or putting it into Monarch and create a book about it and have it read, or Inclusive to have it read. Any other information we want on Pearl Harbor? So if you notice, it says here, if you'd like to learn more, you can visit this resource, The Sound of Pearl Harbor from the Miller Center. So it tells us where the information is coming from. And then I just asked it to write a 5th grade lesson plan on Pearl Harbor. Again, we have the UDL strategies. We have mini lectures, guided practice, visuals, telling you should probably find visuals. One of the things you will not find, which is something I'm working on, is my chatbots don't provide visual creation of visuals. It'll tell you what it looks like, but it won't actually create the picture for you. It also gives some accommodations for students with learning disabilities, our English language learners, students with some physical disabilities, our assistive technology options, and again, assessment extension activities. And it says visit an online museum exhibit from Pearl Harbor. So you could even go out to the website. If you click on it, it will actually take you out to that website, and then you can actually show, there's some videos there and some information also. So that is our social studies chatbot. Now I'm going to take us back to our social studies chart here. Let's go through our barriers and let's talk about our resources. First, I'm going to add the chatbot in here. and discuss what areas we need to find resources for. So I feel that we probably have the grade level content piece taken care of with our websites that we have. We have some vocabulary, complicated graphic images. Anyone want to shout out a really great way to take care of that issue? I am going to put the resource of alt text. How many of you know how to create alt text on images? Or how many of you would like to see how to create alternative text on an image? Okay, so I am going to, let's see. I'm just going to go to my presentation. You can see my presentation. Any image that you have, if you right click on an image, it is going to bring up, and it's going to say alt text. If I click on that, it says I can create a description. So if I have a student that is using a screen reader or a text reader, it will read what is on this image, which is kind of crazy because I thought I had all of my alt text done on these for an accessible presentation, and I see it doesn't show up. So what would I put here? I would say QR code for social studies chatbot with the image of an American flag in the middle. So if the student, and then you just click and it's done. So now if you have a student using a text reader or having a screen reader, it will actually read what is behind that image. So anytime you're creating if I'm in a Google Doc, if I'm in a Microsoft PowerPoint, anytime I'm creating that, all I have to do is right click and add what that image is or say what it looks like. And so if you have a student that is using it, it's going to describe that image for them. There is also a tool going to be released. The captioning, there is a grant that is currently in the process, and they are doing a lot with captioning images. Once that has formally been released, I will share that out with all of you. I don't know if it has formally been released because it's through a grant. Questions about how easy it is to add alt text to an image? And I would say do that on anytime you're creating anything for students, add that alt text. Or for adults, it just is a great accessibility tool. If you're on social media, again, if you add an image, all you have to do is right click on it. It'll give you the option that says alt text and type it in. Microsoft even now has the ability to give you ideas of what that alt text might say, but you're going to want to make sure that you've read through the alt text and not just hit OK, because again, it's AI generated. Questions about alt text? And like I said, once that one resource is available for image, does somebody else have a really great tool they use for descriptive, describing images?
I don't know if this is really a tool or if I'll be able to explain this very well because I haven't done a lot of it. But in Colorado, we do have an accessibility law, and we've been remediating documents for accessibility, and graphs are very problematic, tables and graphs. And so in our office, we've been, learning about how to make them more accessible. And it can get a little complicated, but one of the things that I've learned is, you know, just simplifying the information and or writing it out in text. I'm sure other people probably have done a little bit of this, but it occurs to me as I've done the little bit that I've done that not only does it make it easier for people with vision impairment, but it does just kind of simplify everything. So all those accessibility strategies that you might use for someone using a screen reader or with a vision impairment, when it comes to graphs and charts, tables, it seems like to me, a lot of it could work well for someone who maybe has an intellectual disability as well.
I would completely agree with you. Yes. Tables and charts are very difficult, especially for screen readers to read. So making sure there's headings and all of that is really important. And I can throw in on here and I can put it on both places. I have a little cheat sheet per se that walks through different ways to do those things. I also added to help with, it's not going to necessarily, it's actually going to help with the background information and complicated images is using augmented reality. So there are some different augmented reality applications that are free. And what you do is you can link video on top of an image. I don't have my presentation for that readily available right now, but I can also link how to do that. I have done done a study using augmented reality, and it's you can use it, you can add videos to information, you can add more text, you can have something spoken. It's just putting that overlay on top of information that somebody can click on and actually learn more. And that's actually one of the ways that we were really using augmented reality to help build background knowledge for our students that maybe needed help with vocabulary or just didn't have the world experience around some of the things in science and social studies or even in reading, just to add that extra level of scaffolding support. So using augmented reality is a great way to do that. And it can be really simple as just copying and pasting also. So I can also get some more information on that to you also. Struggling with computation in math. Again, we have equatio, all of those things. Students struggling with the timeline. That's definitely can be math or reading, can be between the two. Do we have a resource involved for timelines in our document? I don't think we necessarily do. So let's when we go out and dig, we're going to look for that. We're going to be specific with what we're looking for. Okay. So we're going to look for some tools that will help our students who struggle with timelines. Organizing written work. Corgi can definitely help with that with graphic organizers. Getting your thoughts on paper. We could be adding, probably should be adding text to speech and speech to text in there. Students with vision concerns, we have our visual impairment for social studies site. Physical limitations, we probably should have page turners, things like that on there also. So making page turners. We do have the access to reading through Bookshare and Learning Ally, I believe, in our reading. So that also would help. And the Monarch Reader would also help. I didn't call out something that's different on here that isn't on the other science one is Newstopia by Building Wings. It's a great resource. It has scaffolded lesson plans, scaffolded reading supports, and they're all topics of recent topics. So that's a great resource also. Mobility concerns, physical limitations, we really don't have those addressed. Giving presentations, we really don't have addressed. So what our task is going to be for the next 10 minutes is we're going to go out and we're going to dig and see if we can find resources that match or that can help us with those areas. Does that make sense what our task is? Once you find that resource, I would like you to create a Post-it note and put it on. Again, we want to just make sure that we have all of our materials because we all have different tools in our toolbox. So I'm going to set my timer again for 10 minutes. And I would like you to go out and if you know of some supports, stick them in here or look for other ones. Okay, so let's double back and see what we have for students struggling with timelines. We have someone found the readwritethink.org classroom resources for students with interactive timelines. Excellent, excellent. And then I added the directions on alt text on how to add alt text to just about everything. Someone has added virtual field trips. Those would be great for background information. Hit portfolio for History Maker. Excellent, excellent. Okay, so just to get a pulse on where things are at, into the chat box, give me 5 if you want to play in the resources some more. Give me a 1 if you're ready to move on. So 5 if you want to check out and the resources that are listed and dig into them more, or a 1 if you're ready to move on. Okay, I see 2 1s. Another 1. All right, let's move on. Anyone want to share one of the resources that they've looked at, or someone asked they'd like to see how I created the chat bot. Okay, so we will see how much time we have, and then we'll go from there. How's that sound? So our next was we dug into the resources. Creating the social studies lesson plan, that's pretty much kind of what we did with digging into the resources. We didn't actually create the lesson plans, sharing out. One of the things, this is the chat bot that I created for my dissertation. Elle I will actually show you how I created them and where they all reside here in a few minutes. But L is currently used in 17 countries and has over 15,000 users in the US. L is free to anyone to use. Actually, any of the chat bots that I've created are free for anyone to use. It will help with lesson planning, providing you strategies, gives you some different ideas. Pretty much anything you can think of in regards to what can I do with a student that I'm stressed, that I am concerned about. It gives that on-demand, in the moment response. And again, it is evidence-based and research-based strategies. With all that being said, we technically have an hour left. How is everyone feeling about science and social studies? Because I want to make sure that I have met the needs of everyone in regards to covering science and social studies before I move on into the world of creating a chatbot. I have one person that feels great. I am not offended if you're like, nope, we need more ideas, we need more information. We can definitely go into that, but I want to make sure I'm meeting the needs of all of the learners here today. Lots of resources to explore, feeling great, feeling great. Okay. Presentations besides recording or something like that. For presentations, I did add a link for information on helping create presentations and the tools that go along with it. So I did add, Sharon, that into our document. So you should be able to have that. So actually we could ask Elle, to provide us some information, ideas for presentations. Let's just ask Elle a minute. How's that sound? And then we'll get into the creation. I always say please, just because you never know where AI is going to go. I'm not trying to be a conspiracy theory person, but I just do. Please provide ideas for presentations that don't include recording. So we have interactive poster presentation, live demonstration, role playing or skits, panel discussion, hands-on workshop, debate, storytelling, interactive games or quizzes, infographic walkthroughs, live Q&A, tabletop displays, guided discussions, simulations, flip grid charts or whiteboards, gallery walks. And then if you'll notice, if I scroll down, it says, where did these answers come from? It tells me there's 5 sources of information that it pulled from. It got information from the IRIS modules, for the NCTM conferences and professional development, principles to toolkits, and I can click on these and actually takes me to that spot. Presenters for the CEC virtual conference, ideas from there. Again, some iris from page 6. So it takes us exactly to where the information came from. So there are some more ideas for some different options for presentations. So that leads me to, you asked about my chatbot and my creations. So there are different websites that you can use to create I'm going to stop sharing a minute to create AI chatbots. I'm just going to go and actually pull up a presentation I've done on. So you can use Poe and Mizo, or you can use custom GPT AI, and that's what I use. And the reason I use that is due to the ability to, I wanted data, and it provides me the data I needed for my dissertation. Okay. I should ask Christine and those guys, are you okay with me sharing this?
Yeah, I'm excited to hear about it.
Okay. I don't want to like overstep my bounds here. So I'm going to share my screen. Here again, this is a presentation I've done on creating chatbots. So I talked about Mizo, I talked about Poe, and then the custom GPT. Now Mizo, these are free for educators, so everyone on this call should be able to access these. Mizo, and I will actually put the link in the chat box here in a minute once I go through this, and then you can have the links to the websites. So Mizo gives you three options. You can choose to create your own. You can use the AI that's built within it to help you create one. And you can choose a created one that's already created for you. And then you could actually use one that's already created by someone else and tweak it to be your own. So on this screen, an example is the heroic word problems. This was created by Mr. Powlin, and it encourages students to tackle world problems using DC Comics. I honestly tell everyone, if you can copy and paste, you can create or upload documents, you can create your own chatbots. You see here, right here, free for teachers. You can click on your free for teachers. I'm going to continue with Google. So here it go in the upper left-hand corner says build a chatbot. I just do that. It says you can create the prompt from scratch, or you can have them create the prompt based on your learning objectives. So we'll just do an AI generated one. What is our learning objectives? Able to understand why the US joined World War II. Use our grade level, 5th grade. So we're going to get some ideas. So this is using the, so you can engage students with a quiz on the key leading to the U.S. involvement, facilitate a structured debate on the reasons the U.S. So that's some ideas that it gave you, guide students to write essays on how World War II changed America. Let's go with that one, generate. So that is creating, it's going to give you allow you to do a picture, history helper. There's more options. You can upload your information that you want it to train on. You can choose what audio you want to be able to have the student hear it in. And then You can customize short descriptions for users. Determine what, it'd be under social studies, that type of thing. So actually, if you wanted to, for example, I've talked to a lot of at the college level or even teachers about your classroom rules, your syllabus, all of those things that you want, parents or your students to have access to that might get an email 400 million times about, they could just ask the chatbot once you've created it and uploaded it. So that's Mizo. And again, you can customize it. You can like create everything on your own as an educator, or you can use the AI assisted, which I did for the Pearl Harbor. Poe gives you two options. You can choose to create one yourself, or you can choose a created one. So here's an example in my image. It's an AI math teacher, one that somebody already created. It says, I'm your AI math teacher. Ask me to solve a problem or explain a mathematical concept. For example, you could type, I need help understanding how probability works. So there's already created chatbots that you can have access to, or you can create your own. For the sake of time, I'm going to go into custom GPT. This is a create your own. This is what I used to create the social studies, the science, to create L. I have an AT chatbot. I have an AI and education chatbot, writing. I created a chatbot for a grant that we're working on for the Project Raise that was talked about at the beginning. I created a chatbot for the teachers with support documents, so they didn't have to email us all the time asking. If we were not available to be able to answer, they could ask the chatbot. So I'm going to go out to custom GPT. Now this is a paid site. That I use. And again, it was due to the fact that I wanted to be able to have data. I wanted to make sure I could do a closed bot because again, I wanted it to be research and evidence based when I create them. And I just wanted to make sure that I was able to show the resources that where the information came from. I wanted to have my viewers be anonymous, so I don't know who is using. I mean, it will tell me what country they're using it in, and it'll tell me what platform are they using it on the web, that type of thing. I'll actually share a document that has all my chatbots on it so you can access all of them. So here is my dashboard. And I can go to projects. I'm going to create a project. What do I want to use? I'm going to just upload a document. So again, like I said, can you upload a document? I'm going to click to upload a document. Let's see, what have I downloaded lately? Weathering erosion. It's just a document. It was a science lesson plan. So I'm going to hit create. So you just have to start off with one document or one website to be able to create it. You're going to give it a name. We're just going to say play because I'll delete this when I'm done. I can change my little avatar. You can upload whatever you want. Pictures. These are some crazy pictures I have. Let's just make it a little capybara. And then I can choose the background images, the colors that I want. I can upload the background different picture. I can change the background. I'm just randomly picking things so you can see. Then I'm going to save my settings. Then I'm going to go to my data. And this is where I can add a website. I can upload information. I can use stuff from Zapier, Google Drive, Zendesk, YouTube, Notion, SharePoint. I can upload any of those information from those. When I first started, you could only do websites and upload. So it's been pretty amazing. So I go to a website. Oh, let's add. I'm just going to go to add website. They've added this so much easier now. You used to have to find the sitemap yourself or learn how to do that, which I did, but now they have it here. So I'm just gonna let's just go to the fetcolorado.edu website. I'm gonna copy it and I'm gonna put it in here. And it's gonna say we couldn't find a sitemap, so I'm gonna go to sitemap finder here. I will say that government websites are locked down pretty hard. You're not going to probably find some sitemaps for that. Oh, I couldn't find one at all. Let's see. Anybody have a website that they want to? Let's see. I just did cast. Let's see. udlcast.org. Add it to my website. So now I've added the whole UDL cast website to my chatbot. It's only going to use that information. If I want to upload a document, I just go to Documents, Upload File, drop files here, click to upload. Choose what I want to upload. I'm going to go down my downloads. So let's just say response to reviewers, AI and STEM and education. Yeah. We'll do my AAC companion document. And then just add file. And again, it's ready to go. I am going to go to my appearance. Again, this is what it looks like. I can go to advanced setting. I can choose some other different choices like terms of service if you want to put that on, where the avatar is located. Right now, mine's on my left-hand side. I can move it over. Just some different things. Your agent persona is what you want it to do. For example, I have mine set up to say, when creating a lesson plan, please make sure you include universal design for learning strategies, assistive technology, accommodations and modifications. So no matter what, when you ask it to create a lesson plan, it is going to add those things if you ask for it or not, because that is something that I want everyone to have access to, right? And want to make sure everyone's using. So I would write that in here. Then you say, do you want to learn to customize your agent's behavior? Do you want to browse some different ways to do your persona? And you really don't even have to do one if you don't want to, but that's how I train it to do exactly what I want that output to say. Agent settings, I can choose what language I want. When mine says ask something, this is where in this little box it says ask me anything. I can change that to say, hi, I'm Cappy and here to help. And you can, whatever you want it to say. And then you can do typing dots. So it looks like when it's typing, it leaves dots, or you can have a message that says, hang in there, I'm thinking, or I can change that. I can have a custom message at the end. If you notice, mine says, if you have any questions, please contact Tiffanie Zaugg 4@gmail.com. And then if there's an error message, what do you want that error message to say? So I just set save settings. and that's saved. So then I can choose my intelligence. And I know you're like, this is a lot, Tiffany, but you don't have to do all of this. You can, these are just different options you can do. You can hear optimal choice or fast response, highest relevance. How do you want to do that? This is where it is, do you want it to use your data only, or do you want it to use your data plus the large language model that you're choosing below? This is where mine, I'll say my data only. And then you have to choose what platform it's going to sit on. So I used ChatGPT 4.0. Save my settings, and then I can just go and hit ask anything. Let's go to my ask me anything. Provide me some UDL strategies for math. I should have said. So you can see it says I'm hanging there, I'm thinking. And then it has gone out and it has pulled information from, if you look at the bottom, it says research evidence UDL guidelines, recognition networks, the what of your learning. So it tells me where it came from and it provided me some different options. This one shows up with just a little bit different, but it still provides me the where the answers came from. Pretty. It can be pretty simple if you want it to be, again, if you can just upload a document, you can create a chatbot. This is a paid version, but you can use a free version on Poe or Mizo for educators. It's really, honestly, that simple to do. I actually, so if I show my dashboard, this is what it looks like. Projects, all my projects. It tells me, so here we just stored, it shows me how many documents it found, how many documents were indexes, how many words that are stored in my chat bot, and how many queries this billing cycle. So far, obviously, I've only inquired, I did inquiry once. So if I showed you L, you can see I'm pretty much at my max. I have 18,000 documents found, words stored, and then I can actually go to project analytics. This is why I chose this one, because this was information I needed for my dissertation. It tells me how many conversations that have been had this week, how many queries, if people say they like it or not. If you notice at the bottom of each of them, there's you can give a thumbs up, thumbs down type of thing. It will tell me, it tells me user locations. I had said that, like there's 4 in Australia, 38 in Canada. And I can just go through Romania, 52, and there's 15,365 in the US. And then it also tells me who used it. And it tells me how many times L has failed with a response and how many times it has been successful. Now, I want you to keep in mind that it says there's 168 failures, but in my mind, that's a good thing because, for example, I had someone ask L how to create an atomic bomb, and L is not programmed to tell that. So when it failed by doing that, I know that it was a positive because it shouldn't have, because it's a closed chatbot. It's not coming up with information on its own. So it is that truly that simple to create a chatbot. And I can give you the links to all of that. I'll share in the copy it. This is the link to the presentation for chatbots. And then I will give you, I'm going to go to Canva, and I have a link that I can give you with all of the chatbots that I've created. Link. L is my main one, just because that is the one that I used for my dissertation. And the one that I've shared out on social media, I also have has its own web page or Facebook page, etc. Feel free if you would like to share these out. They are free to anyone. And is really my gift back to education, because I know what it's like to, again, work in a small rural school where things weren't cheap, and then nothing irritates me more than when somebody gives you something free and then they're like, they dangle the carrot and then they take it away and say, oh, you need to pay me for that. So in the chat box, I have put the presentation for the creating your own chatbot. And then I have also in the chat box put the link for Canva that has all of my chatbots on it. Some of the things that I do want to make sure you think about are when you're using chatbots, make sure you don't use student names, making sure you're using, thinking about privacy for the students. I want to, again, I make sure I vet my standards. I want everything transparent. So those were some of the big things for me, thinking about your open versus your closed. And again, it is really how I'm organizing all of my resources at this point. So even the resources that you provided today I will, if I can get the sitemaps, they will be put into our science and social studies chatbots for you to have access to. With that being said, are there questions? I know we're like a half hour early, but any questions, anything that I can answer, thoughts, takeaways? I really hope everyone is able to at least, I always say, take away one thing, hopefully more than that from the presentation. So if you could just quick share out a takeaway, I will say thank you and we can move on. Or if anybody has questions. So can we take someone's custom chatbot and customize it to your specific needs? If you are using Poe or Mizo, you are able to do that. Yes, you can share my resources like Math Master Tools. That feel free. Any of the resources I shared today, feel free to share out. I'm so glad that you guys have found resources that have been beneficial, and I have enjoyed doing this and working with all of you. And feel free. I will share out I guess I should share my information so you can, here is my information. Feel free to reach out anytime. I am on social media. I'm on Twitter or X. My Gmail account is there. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Discord, and now Blue Sky. So if you have any questions or want to collaborate, anything, I'm always open to feedback and collaboration. So thank you so much for having me today. And I'm going to hope that you can enjoy your last 30 minutes that we're giving back to you.
Gosh, thanks, Tiffany. I feel like I can kind of envision where all of this is going just a little better now. It's exciting.
Thank you.